introversion has nothing to do with your ability to speak to people and engage with people. That is something that's more internal. That's more of a shyness factor than it is an introversion factor.
First of all, thank you so much, Aaron, for joining in, for taking time out and joining us. Thank you so much.
Yes, no problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Okay. I firstly I would like to tell you that the first time I saw you was when I was preparing for my international speech contest. So your video was given to all the members to learn this way how to deliver, how to speak. So I remember the speech that you delivered that won you the title of World Champion of Public Speaking 2019. So the title of the speech was an unbelievable story. So, on
Yes.
a lighter note, I would like to ask you what has been your unbelievable story recently, except this, the lifestyle changes that this pandemic is bringing in your life. You can't include that. I know that's unbelievable, but you can't include that. Apart from that,
Yep, sure. I suppose my most unbelievable recent story that isn't COVID related or any of the craziness that's happened so far in 2020 is that I was finally able to pay off all of my student debt. So here in the United States, student debt is something that is a big problem. But for me, I've been able to work on my finances, and I just submitted my final payment to my student loan as of Friday. So by Monday, I should be debt free.
that would be a proud moment for you as well.
Oh,
Okay, that's great. So I got to know that growing up, you were someone who was not very comfortable with people. With you were not someone who gel up with people very easily, like the extroverts too. But that side of your personality is very much contradicting when when we all see you at the stage, not only addressing the audience but engaging them with each and every word that you speak out of your mouth. So how this transformation has been like for you, what were the challenges you faced all throughout, and how you overcome those challenges? There might be many, I guess, many.
when I first graduated college, I graduated right at the end of the Great Recession, and there were no job prospects for me. Everything that I thought I would be able to do, I was no longer able to do. All of the possible job opportunities that I thought I would have, I didn't have. So I knew public speaking was one of the ways that I could stand out. That was my intention for joining Toastmasters International. I knew it was a way to stand out, and I knew that public speaking could take me a long way. Now, I didn't know that I could go as far as I have, but at that time, I knew that it could help me get a job. That's how I first started speaking. But then when I started speaking more, I started to realize that there's more involved in communication. So there was public speaking in the everyday conversation. There was public speaking in the job interview. But none of that would have happened had I not first decided that for survival, I needed to get better at public speaking. So for me, it was really more about survival more than about just overcoming and being introverted. If you can say introversion is something that you should overcome, I don't believe that's the case, but it was just me trying to get out of my own way. And what I finally ended up learning was that introversion has nothing to do with your ability to speak to people and engage with people. That is something that's more internal. That's more of a shyness factor than it is an introversion factor.
Moving on, I would like to ask you that many a times you have been the part of Toastmasters. There is a section called table topics, and there's, I guess, the table topics happen in the real life as well many a times. So what happens is that I guess you must also have witnessed this initially at some point of time, that when when you're confronting an audience and some topic, random topic is thrown upon you, your mind goes automatically blank. Huh. Even if you know about that particular topic, you're not able to speak on that, and you start fumbling, and many a time people just go entirely blank, and that's the worst humiliation for them. So how to tackle, like, what do you have to say that how to tackle these kind of situations? Have you experienced this? I guess you have.
Yes, I have. So in those moments, I just pause and I am comfortable with silence. You have to get comfortable with silence. You can't just want to speak because you were asked the question and you immediately have to answer. Stop and think sometimes. That's really all that you can do. And then you can think about what you want to say. That it's normal to be afraid. It's normal to mess up. But when you do mess up, you learn from those times you mess up and then you can get better. That's the main thing. You have to teach them that it's normal and it's a growth process.
Okay. Okay, so my next question is that you have advised us many a times that you need to know your audience while like before addressing them. Just know what their background is, know your audience well, so that you can build that emotional connect with them. But I think in real world, you have people from different backgrounds having different opinions, different perspectives. Not all the times you will get a same set of people. So how do if we are delivering something, how we can engage, not only address but engage diverse set of audience?
Well, the best way to make an emotional connection with any audience is to really make the topic that you're talking about universally understandable. So when you're trying to make something universally understandable, you're talking more about the human emotions. And there could be a lot of reasons why you have those emotions, but at the end of the day, it all has to come back to you as a person feeling happy or sad or angry, because that's what people can understand. They can't understand a specific a situation in the United States if they live in India, and vice versa. They can't understand a specific instance in India if they live in the United States, but they can understand frustration. They can understand sadness. They can understand happiness. So you have to go back to those basic emotions that can be universally understood.
Okay, so we need to generalize the topics. Is That's what you mean, right? Generalize our emotions so that we can connect to the broader audience.
Correct.
Okay. Apart from Toastmasters, what can be the other things to to build up your communication skills, to build up the persuasion, I would rather say, because in the Toastmasters we are not persuading, we're not convincing anyone. Even if we have a bad speech or a bad performance, people will appreciate and encourage us to get better after some time. But I guess this persuasion factor is somewhere missing, and that needs to be there in every aspect of life. That needs to be there in the workplace, that needs to be there in our personal life as well. So how to build that persuasion factors in whatever we put across the table? How to bring in that in ourselves? I
Well,
hope
one of the ways you can do that, you have to find the situations for yourself and apply the Toastmasters principles to those situations. You have to find an opportunity at work to speak. So you may want to request to facilitate a team meeting. You may want to lead a team training. And then you do it and you apply the Toastmasters principles of feedback and evaluation. You find somebody that can give you feedback and help you improve. So it's really up to the person to find the situations and to apply those principles. It's something it's your homework, really. It's not really another organization that can help you specifically with work life. There's not a large organization that can help you specifically with life, but you can apply what you have in Toastmasters in your career and in life.
Can you give some examples from your own life experiences, how you have implemented those?
Yeah, absolutely. So just at work, for instance, I am now looking to become a corporate trainer. And in my job, I am setting up in my objectives that I want to lead sessions. I want to lead the team in different things. And as I go through the year, I'm working with my manager to give me feedback of how I'm doing as I get those small opportunities. So if I have an opportunity to get training, I will reach out to my manager, we will talk, and I will find out how I did, what I can do better. All of this is going to help me get to the job that I eventually want to get to.
So moving on, Aaron, yes, when going to the stage every time and addressing the people out there, and is that nervousness has melted away, or is it still there for someone who has been speaking for almost 11 years? You still feel that nervousness? I would like to just request you to take us through your journey and how you have faced the challenges and overcome it, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so I do get the butterflies in my stomach, but it is for particular situations. For instance, I can speak in front of my Toastmaster club or any Toastmaster chapter, and I won't feel nervous. I won't feel the butterflies. But if I'm in a contest, I will feel a little bit nervous. I will feel the butterflies because of that situation. The thing with nervousness and having the feeling of butterflies in your stomach, that is due to nervousness, and you have to find out what it is that's making you nervous. Be specific as possible of what's making you nervous. When I'm competing in a contest, I know it's because of the contest, not because I'm about to speak in front of people. So if you're specific, then you can have a better handle on how you can approach your nervousness and overcome it.
Okay. Like you said that now you're very, very comfortable with your environment, with your club environment. So, what you do in order to, push your comfort zone to take up more challenges, because you are familiar with the kind of environment, with the people around you. So, what are those things that you take up to challenge yourself?
Yep. So it's not necessarily something that I'm doing every time. Sometimes I'm just getting up to speak because I've been asked to speak, and there's not really something that I'm looking to improve at that point. But every so often, I'm going to look to do something more. Right now, I'm looking more into the professional speaking world where I'm going out and delivering paid keynotes. So that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. Also, negotiating contracts, that's something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. It's a matter of setting goals to get to a higher level, and you want to just keep trying to reach that higher level, and until you master that, that's where you will stay until you can overcome those hurdles and those challenges and grow a little bit more. And when you hit that goal, it's time to move on to the next one.
Great. That was a great one. So, moving on, my next question is that I guess the entire functions and the operations have taken a paradigm shift. All have been shifted to a digital platform. So, how different it has been, how challenging it has been, because there are a lot of factors that comes into play: audio factors, video factors, all of these. So what tips that you would give to them in order to streamline this process, in order to make it as effective as it was before in a physical space, and more thriving, even more thriving?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing you actually have to understand is that it's not going to be the same as a physical audience. You are going to have a clear difference between speaking on a video than you will have speaking to a live audience. You're not going to hear the live feedback anymore. And if you try to get live hear live feedback on a virtual setting, it's not going to sound very good because there are different connection speeds and all of the other technical factors. So that's number one. You have to understand that it is going to be different. You have to focus on the medium that you are using. But once you do that, you have to create a process around what you're doing. For instance, you have to have a camera setup. You have to know what your camera setup is. You need to make sure that you have quality light. You need to make sure that you have a place that has quality lighting all day long, not just in the morning when you can use the light of the sun, because the sun eventually goes down. So you have to make a process around it and master your process. Then another thing you can do, you need to look at your own videos. So you need to record yourself and then watch it to see what mistakes you're making and then correct those and add that into your process. So it's really a matter of you creating a process for yourself to make your video presentations as effective as your personal one.
Okay. Okay, so moving on to the last question, right? So it's better to learn from others' mistakes. So I would like to ask you, what are those three mistakes of yours that you have made in your early days? What would be your message that to avoid those kind of mistakes because of some misconceptions of for that matter?
Yep. Well, I think one of the first early mistakes that I made when I was speaking was trying to preach to people of what they needed to do instead of telling them my own personal story. You can't just tell people what to do, because if you try to tell people what to do, they're not going to want to do it. The second one was not asking for help, especially in the beginning. When you are first speaking, even if you are very talented, which people told me that I was, that still doesn't mean that you know the fundamentals. It doesn't mean you know everything. So you need help. And I didn't really start to grow as a speaker until I received help from my mentor. Then the last one that I would say is that you need to be yourself on stage. A lot of people try to put on this air of being someone that they're not when they're on stage. They use overly dramatic gestures and voices that they never use in their everyday life. So just tone that down and just talk to people on the stage, give them your sincere, authentic message, and let your personality shine that way. And if you're an introvert, just to circle back to that, you have a innate way of doing that. Introverts are great at introspection.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So with that, we have reached to the conclusion of this interview. Thank you so much for taking out time, and it was absolutely pleasure talking with you. Do you have to say anything at last?
No, it's just for anybody who's listening, just keep speaking and just keep improving. You will get better, but it is a process.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aaron, for joining in.
Thank you.